Welcome, guys, to episode 6 of season 1. We took a little bit of a break, obviously, because we had the Miss Great Britain finals in the middle of it, and we have got the most amazing guest today, fresh from the stage, from the Miss Great Britain stage for 2023. We have the wonderful, brand new Miss Great Britain, Madeline Roche, Crowd Goes Wild, Fade to Black. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent now, because it means that we can now kick on again with the podcast. All of the Miss GB craziness on the front end has now started to simmer a little bit, so now we can crack on with the podcast and actually get some more consistency going on here, and I get to speak to you lovely people, you lovely queens, and we've got some other special guests lined up as well in the next few weeks. So what has it been like since the was it where were we, 2 Saturdays ago, 2 Fridays ago? What's it been like since?
I honestly don't think my feet hit the ground yet. I haven't had one day to just sit down and think, oh my gosh, this has just happened. It's been absolutely amazing. It still doesn't feel real. I still feel like I'm in a bit of a whirlwind. I don't know when it hits you. Previous winners say it only hits you when you hand over. But I've had a wild 2 weeks, and I'm sure the next year is even going to be even more crazy.
So what have you done since have you got any events done yet? What have you been doing?
I've lost track of the amount of interviews that I've done so far. I've done so many, and I had my first official photo shoot with previous Miss Great Britain, Charlotte Clemmy. So the first image of that is out. So you can see that on mine and the Miss GB social media. And then in terms of events, nothing yet, but we do have our Alex's Ball on the 18th of November, so I can't wait for that. And I actually managed to go to Red Carpet Ready, who is our official dress sponsor, to go and pick a gown out for that. So really exciting stuff. More celebrations this weekend with some of my pageant friends in Scotland, which I can't wait for. But yeah, it's go, 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 and I'm loving every minute of it. I also went to see JLS last night as
Oh,
part
I
of the
saw.
celebration in my very own Miss GB box, which I was over the moon about. So taking the crown perks as well.
Amazing. That's incredible. Were they good?
They were so good. When I was 14, I was the biggest JLS fan you'll ever meet. I loved them. I watched them through X Factor and cried when they didn't win. So it
I
was
think they've
a
done
real
okay.
nostalgia moment.
They've done
They've
okay.
done
They've
okay.
done okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we do have to put something right. The fact that you are actually 30 and not 33, which all of the tabloids are pushing that you're 33. If you're 33, you would be a Ms. Let's just put it out there. But you've avoided being a Ms because you're a Miss on the last go. So what I want to do is I want to rewind you back to 2009, because I know you've competed all over Europe, UK, different pageants and all this kind of stuff. And you nailed Miss Great Britain on your 5th and actual final attempt. So
Yes, I did.
walk me back. Take me back to 2009. How did you find pageants? Like, how did they appear on your radar? Where did they come from? And then talk me through that journey, if you can remember.
I mean, so in 2009, I won a really small, I wouldn't even say it was a pageant, it was a carnival queen competition. So I'm from Kent, and in Kent, the carnival circuit is really big. So I don't know if anybody, when they were growing up, used to go watch the town carnivals, and you'd see the princesses on the float waving.
We have one.
Um,
We have a carnival in our village. And
there you go. So
my sister was carnival queen. There you go.
there we go, cut from the same cloth.
Yes.
So I was Miss Sandwich 2009. I went to watch it and support a friend who was competing, who got extremely nervous, didn't want to do it on their own, and begged me to compete with them. And then I ended up winning. um, so I did. I started in carnivals. I then did like there was like a big Kent heat that you could do once you'd been a town queen. You could then be the official one of the whole of the county, which I went on to do from that. And then there was a local pageant called Miss European, which wasn't really a pageant. It was run by somebody that was in carnival. So I kind of took a stepping stone into pageantry, into that pageant, and then met people like Dion and Rachel Tate who had done it, and sort of just got engulfed in the pageant world, and have been a massive fan ever since.
I think anybody who meets Dion ends up in a pageant in some way, shape, or form, because she appears to be everybody's girl crush, from what I can imagine. And I'm still trying to pin her down to get her on here. I've got more chance of getting Annie, her mum, on here than I have Dion at the moment.
I love her mum. She's amazing. Her dancing at the party for on the Thursday night was amazing. But
Living her
yeah,
best life. She was living her best life.
Dion was my pageant girl crush, and also the reason I entered Miss Great Britain, to be honest. She won Miss European the year that I think we were in Malta competing, and she won, and we became friends then. Ever since, she's been a bit of a pageant big sister in a sense, and I've always really looked up to her. So to be able to be a sister queen with her now is a real pinch me moment.
And there's a really nice picture actually of you, Eden, Amy, Dion, all handing the crown down, I think. The only
Yeah,
thing was obviously Saf. We didn't have her in the picture, which I was gutted about.
we do have
Have we
one
got
with
one?
her in the picture, but it's not doing that. I think we pick her up actually. Weirdly, I
Yes,
don't know
yeah,
why we did that.
yeah. Because I remember there was a suggestion to pick me up, and then we rapidly moved away from that suggestion quite quickly. So you won these titles. When did you come to Miss Great Britain? Obviously 5 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, I came off the back of a pageant that I was doing got cancelled, or they went into administration, and I was sort of looking for one that I felt I was the right fit for. And I did some amazing ones in the UK, but I just wasn't quite right for me. And then I stumbled upon Miss Great Britain. I think, do you know what? I'm sure it was Dion that mentioned it. We were at an event and said, "Oh, you should give it a go." And I was Miss Stockport in 2018, I think it was. It was the year Kobe won. I can't find my Miss Stockport sash anywhere, so I think it's at my mum's house, because I do want to have a picture of me with all my old sashes, and then my new one. But yeah, Miss Stockport. I came in literally the week before the masterclass, so I was really last minute and had no idea what to expect, and just absolutely fell in love with it. I loved it, and I came third on my first attempt, so that kind of gave me the
Wow.
bug to think, oh, it might be me one day.
Well, that was the year that Saffron handed over to Kobe. It must have been.
Yeah, she judged me.
Yeah. So I was in the crowd. I was in the crowd at that one actually.
You
Uh,
were. You must have been.
yeah, because we got together as she was the reigning Miss Great Britain, and I was at the handover. So yeah, it was at that one. And what I love actually for you is each one of the years that you're stood in the background while someone else is getting crowned. Like,
Yeah.
and do you know what I said to Safa? Says, look at Maddie's reaction in all of these images, and it was just so nice to see, because every single person who won, you could just see the joy on your face in the background of the winners at the front, and then you get your moment then from then.
I know. I think it's a really weird feeling, and people that don't do pageants sometimes are always like, "Oh, you disappointed?" But you go through so much in those 2 days that you're at the final, that you're
Mhm.
actually just over the moon for whoever has won. You love to like give them their moment, and you're also just really proud. You're not necessarily. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there is disappointment of, "Oh, I could have done that better," but I was always just really proud of my achievement, and luckily it was always somebody winning that I was really like quite friendly with. So I was always like, sort of partying along with them, feeling like I'd won as well.
So what do you think you changed from each one of those 5 years? Do you remember each one of your placings off the top of your head where you placed?
Yeah,
So
they're scarred.
they're
Scarred.
scarred, they're imprinted. So did you say your first one was three? So you came third in the first one. So then that would have been what, 20? So into 2018 or 19 would it be?
My
2019?
Kobe Sash says 2018/19, I think.
Okay, so
Um,
then it would be you competing in 19 then. So where did that put you in 2019? Do you remember?
Sixth.
Okay, so what, just out of interest, because people listening will be going, okay, so third to sixth. So what happened between three to six?
I think because I came third, I was almost a bit too confident going into this. To be completely honest, going back in again, I thought, right, can't do worse than last time. So I'll either be second or first, surely. And I did work hard, but I don't think I put everything behind it like I should have done. And the caliber of competition really, really went up. And I just didn't work as hard as I should have. I didn't bring it like I should have. And I think I got so encapsulated with what a Miss Great Britain should be that I turned up trying to be her rather than the year before, when I was just there having fun and being myself. I felt the pressure a little bit too much. And that's where I think, not necessarily where I went wrong, but that's what I learned from that year, that being yourself, actually, it probably took me another 2 years to learn it a bit more, but that's one thing that look back now, I think I probably turned up trying to be a bit too much, maybe like Kobe or like Saf, and not turn up to be me.
Hmm. I think also like the universe has got an interesting way of dealing people humblers. I call them humblers. So like you kind of, if you get a little bit too, you know, cocksure or whatever, or a little bit too, you're not ready for it yet, you'll kind of get a bit of a spin of a humbler that kind of makes you learn the lesson, whatever the lesson is. I'm a big believer of that. So from sixth, where did you place after sixth?
8th.
Okay, so this was still, was this kind of what we would call maybe a complacency phase?
Definitely. No, do you know what I think that was? I think it was COVID. So we'd just come out of COVID. I think with Miss Great Britain, it's not obviously the charity and the publicity side of things, is nowadays it's not necessarily to your final score, but I think it was enjoying the journey when you do those type of things. It kind of adds to the whole experience. And I think I just maybe wasn't as focused and was doing Miss GB because I loved it and it was a hobby, but I wasn't competing to win. My confidence was knocked from the year before, and I wasn't as confident in myself. So I was doing it because I did pageants and I do Miss GB, but not necessarily in it to really go and win that title. It was always just sort of a routine thing of something that I did. And I did, I think I got really nervous. And the more it went on, so the more years I did it, and the more years I wasn't getting to where I wanted to, the nerves just got worse and worse. And it was my last year that I could do it that year because the age at the time was lower. So I felt the pressure, but I let the nerves hit me more than, rather than thinking, right, let's go out there, leave it on the table, enjoy it. I was thinking, oh my God, this is the last time, it's now or never. And then that really just consumed me.
Yeah. So it was almost tried too hard and overcompensated, which resulted in, what did you say, eighth for that one?
Yeah.
So
I think I
then,
wanted it too much.
yes, yeah. So then so we're now on, what's that, three. So year four, what happened year four?
Year four, I came third.
Okay.
Um,
So back to where you started right at the
Back
start.
where I started. It was, to be honest, year four was great because it was almost like my last chance saloon, or like the the opportunity to come back. And I was contemplating being a MERS because obviously the age category was, I think it was 28 was the
Yeah.
upper age, and then you and Saf took over and upped it, and I could still be a miss. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll just give it like two. Well, in my head actually at the time I was thinking, give it 2 more years to see if you can do it, which I think is the wrong mentality anyway, because whenever you're going into something, you have to believe that you're going to do it that time. So
Mhm.
I think I was just there to get my confidence again. I just got married. I was starting this new life, and I went in and honestly just went in to really enjoy myself and enjoy the pageant again. And I last year was the best fun and the best group of girls I've ever competed with. And I didn't even win, came third and absolutely loved it. And I'm still friends with girls that I met for the first time in that weekend.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, third place, but it's probably the proudest I've ever felt in a pageant other than winning, because I'd got back to where I started. So I'd got my confidence back again.
And did you think this is actually possible now? So when you'd hit third, did you think, okay, lessons are learned, I've got one last shot? And then was the mindset, do you know what? I'm having it. Let's go in to win it. So there was just a huge shift of lessons learned into, right, now I've just got to deliver because this is literally my one and only shot.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a shift in mentality of, um, look, you can do it. You can get, because I'm a firm believer of different judges, different day, everything like that. Small things that you change, it could have been, so it could have been your night, or vice versa. Small things you could change, it might not have been your night. So I think when you get into that top five, there's always small margins, and you always have a
Mm.
clear winner. Like Amy was that clear winner last year. There was no doubt about it. But there's always little things that you could just tweak to get that little bit closer. And I felt that I had just a couple of more things that I could have done myself to be a better version of myself. So I think I applied like on the Saturday. Like we got back on the Saturday and I was like, right, one more go, I'm doing it. And I just sat there. I wrote a letter to myself on the Saturday saying like, to open after Miss GB this year, saying like, you're Miss Great Britain, this is what you've done in the year. I wrote out my whole crowning moment. I wrote when friend family was sat. I wrote it all and was just going to leave nothing to chance. I threw myself into the publicity award. I did everything that I could think of. I did the training. I wrote my speech, the 2-minute interview, literally 10 months ago, and just was learning it. And I wanted to go up there and just not regret anything.
Mhm.
Whereas previously I'd been like, oh, I could have given it a little bit more sap and swim, or I could have rehearsed my speech a bit more, or I could have practiced my questions, or had a bit more of a why and really been passionate about something rather than just winging it or whatever it might be. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to give myself one last chance with like zero regret, and really held myself accountable throughout the year. And my friends and family held me accountable as well. They were like, you've done this for 5 years. Come on, last year, it doesn't matter if you don't win, but if you don't give it 100%, we're not going to be happy. And thank God I did.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot to be said for the letter thing. I know Saf used to keep "I'm Miss Great Britain" in a pants or in a bra or something like that. She'd just have it everywhere. She had it in a pants or something on the night, something like crazy. And she would just write it throughout that year, because I think so, there's a lot of power in once you make the decision and you go in that direction, then everything else kind of aligns for you because you're doing the work. Therefore, you know, it's like when we say, well, the universe deals you a humbler. Well, it actually also works in your favor as well when you're coming up against least friction, because you're making it easier for yourself. Do you know do you see what I mean? So but you're making it easy for yourself because you're laser focused on the outcome that you want, and then everything else, you know, shifts to help you do it. um what what do you want to do this year with your reign? What's important to you? What do you want to get across?
I think there's lots of things that I would like to do and I want to do. I think if I can stand on that stage next year and had even inspired one person to, whether it's not give up on their pageant dream or not give up on something that they really want, that will be such a big win for me. I think my journey is such a testament to, like you said, if it's never a no, it's a not now, or the universe will only give you what is right for you. And I really believe that. And I think if I can just motivate somebody to give a little bit extra or take some accountability as well and think, actually, what can I do to improve myself? This whole journey has been loads of self-growth for me. And I've actually really loved like personal development now. Whereas when I started, I used to think it was a bit fuddy-duddy. Whereas now,
Mm.
over the last 5 years, I've really sort of invested in myself and in my growth. And I think if I can get other people to do that, that would be great. As well as there's so many things that I love doing. Like I've got my Code Red organization. I would love to be able to outreach to more places globally with that, which is
So
the fight against.
tell me a little bit more. If I haven't heard of Code Red, then what is Code Red?
Code Red is a collections agency I started in COVID. And it started with collecting period products and donating them to those that don't have ready access. Whereas now it's a lot more than that. So I'd say it's a donation movement, maybe that's probably the right word. And we still do the period products, but we do loads of other things as well. So things for the homeless, and we're going to be doing collections for a refugee camp, hopefully for a children's shelter in the Philippines, or we'll be collecting funds to therefore buy things when we're out there for them. So I'd love to be able to take that far and wide, because so many people have got involved already and there's so much more that we can do. That would be amazing. Obviously, as well, Alex's Wish and Cancer Research UK, I've been working with them for 5 years and via Miss Great Britain, and I can't wait to be able to work a little bit more closely hand in hand with them on exactly what we can do together to raise awareness and raise some funds. Stay tuned, because there'll definitely be some Queen's charity events and Miss charity events that will definitely take place soon as well.
Oh, incredible. So if people wanted to get involved with the Code Red, where would they find that? Where could they find you?
On Instagram, Code Red GB. So everything you need to know is on there. When we're doing collections, it's on there as well. So at the moment, I'm doing our winter collection, which goes out to UK homeless charities around the UK, obviously, UK homeless charities, and different things like backpacks, sanitary items, amenities, things like that, that people either have at home that are lightly used, or Veronica, one of the Miss GB contestants, brought me 2 massive big B&M bags of all sorts of things like toothpaste, toothbrushes, which
Wow.
is absolutely amazing. So I'm collecting for that at the moment. If anybody wants to get involved, just pop us a message on the Instagram page.
Lovely, lovely. So you are also the very first mixed race Miss Great Britain contestant. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I am the first ever Miss. I'm half British, half Palestinian. And one thing that actually really motivated me with Miss Great Britain is because they'd never had a mixed race winner. And I really wanted to show girls everywhere from all cultures and all walks of life that you are beautiful and pageants are for you, but also you can go out and do whatever you want to do. When I was growing up, there wasn't many Arabic women being showing their success on the TV or in the media or anything like that, giving like a positive impact on myself. So I would love to be that for another girl, whether it's just my little sister who now knows that her brown skin and dark brown hair is something beautiful, or it's anybody out there that just thinks, oh, there's nobody that I can relate to. I'd love to be that person to show that it doesn't matter where you're from, what culture you're from, what background you're from, and you can go and do whatever you want to do. And us Arabic girls are beautiful too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it is a very topical conversation, I guess, right now, particularly with things going on in that corner of the world. What do you have a message about that?
Yeah, I do you know what? It's really harrowing and it's really been hard to digest over the last couple of weeks in particular. This, I think it's important to mention this isn't a new conversation and it's at the forefront of media and conversation at the moment, but actually this treatment of the Palestinian people has been going on for nearly 100 years. My grandparents were displaced from their homes in the late 40s and migrated to Jordan as refugees and haven't really been back since, as it's not safe or they're not welcome to do so. And I think predominantly my message for anybody involved is peace, but also basic human rights are not something difficult to get your head around.
Mm.
And the people of Palestine deserve that at a minimum. The situation there is horrendous. And I just pray that there is a peaceful solution soon and that they are given the right to live and be happy in a peaceful, harmonious environment.
Yeah, which is everybody's given right for sure. And I
Yeah.
think you said it perfectly, you know, not even basic human rights, but actual human rights overall should be extended to everybody. And I think unfortunately we're in quite an interesting period in, you know, in time. We've had quote unquote the longest peacetime in history that's been publicized, should we say, to now things being all a little bit crazy, should we say. So but I think you said it perfectly. So what I want to know is within the pageant world, what do you think needs fixing? It's quite a I suppose a leading conversation maybe, but what do you think, just like everything, there's always things that can be improved and can be bettered. What do you think that they potentially are?
One thing I feel really passionately about is entrance and the pool of entrants that we get in pageants. I think there's always a conversation about, for example, being the first mixed race winner or the diversity of a particular judging panel or winner's circle or something like that. And when I've really looked into it, I've realised that the pool of contestants perhaps could be improved in a diverse scale. That doesn't necessarily just mean where you're from, but different sort of walks of life, different cultures, different religions. I think pageants are amazing and they have come such a long way when it comes to diversity, but there's a lot more work that we can do to increase that entry pool. So, for example, I did a couple of workshops at the beginning of last year called Step into Pageantry, which was going into underprivileged areas and different cultural backgrounds and saying to people, this is what pageants are and this is why they're great. And a lot of the time, people just didn't realize or didn't know that it was for them. And I think I genuinely don't believe there's a bias in pageantry, but I do think that there is, like I said, an entry issue. And I'm personally taking that job on this year to go and encourage other women from all walks of life, all cultures, all races, all backgrounds, all sizes, to get involved because predominantly the benefits that you personally get, let alone the ones that you then sort of push out to your communities and other people are amazing. So if I can improve anything, it would definitely be sort of that mix of contestants, making sure that we're hitting all corners of Great Britain and not just a particular group, I guess.
And also, like, in order to you touched on it there. In order to get the contestants, we need to have the contestants. So it's kind of a vicious circle in that if they're not applying, then they can't be represented because they're not applying. So it's definitely getting that message out there, which is super important, particularly with for me and Saf as well, because the culture of Miss Great Britain is celebrating the diversity in women's excellence. Well, we need that diversity to apply so we can showcase their excellence. So you touched on there with what you said about the benefits that come from being involved in pageants. So what would you say are the benefits that you've personally experienced by being in pageantry, or even around it to then being in it?
Honestly, so many. I think when I've never been a shy child, to be honest.
I don't know where I get the impression that would have been, particularly your character trait. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've never been shy, but I do think it's taught me how to communicate, how really well to be able to communicate with anybody, to talk to anyone, no matter where they're from, and really be able to sort of be open-minded to different points of view, different ways of life. I think having the opportunity to travel the world with pageants has really given me that skill. I think things like interview, just the simplest thing, pageant interview. I'm never scared now if I go to a job interview, because nothing is scarier than having the dream of being Miss Great Britain and you having to prove it to 4 people. So going into a job interview nowadays is nothing. So it's really taught me how to communicate and show how great I think I am, but in a concise, professional manner. I think is probably the best way to put it. And then the opportunities of travel, the different events that I've been to, the different people that I've met, the friends that I've got. I've got such an amazing group of friends who are my best friends in the whole world, and the majority of them I've met through pageants. And I do really believe that you are who you surround yourself with. And I've surrounded myself over the last couple of years with some amazing women who motivate me and push me and inspire me. And that's what pageants really are all about. Women supporting women and motivating one another. And I think we're an amazing group of people that do some amazing work for loads of different charities and causes, but we're also an amazing group of women who build each other up. And I think that stereotype of pageants, I hate the word stereotype actually, because it's not a stereotype that I think has ever existed. I think it's just an opinion that people presume. But that, I would say, uneducated opinion of pageant girls is so false. And I don't think that I would push myself daily and set new goals and targets and aspirations and dream as big as I would if I didn't have pageants, because they've really shown me that you can absolutely go and do anything you want to do.
Yeah, it's a huge society of betterment for those that want to go and embrace it. It really is. And it's something that we obviously endorse like hugely, which is reflective actually really within the prize packages that we're putting forward in terms of partnering with the presenter studio to help people who want to go in that direction do that. And there's more things on the horizon that we're really excited about. But do you find that there's particularly any negatives that come with it? I mean, do you find you get trolled or bullied by even people that are that are outside of the pageant world? But do you find that there's any of that go on?
Do you know what? I think in anything that you do when you put yourself in sort of the public eye or public domain, and there's 100 positive, fantastic voices, and there's always that one that kind of wants to be negative. And one thing I've learned is to drown them out. And there's so many positive things that you can say that one extra negative comment doesn't really matter, although it's so much easier said than done. But I don't think, what do they say? Don't ever read the comments. So if there's a Daily Mail article, don't read
Don't
the
ever read
comments.
the comments, yeah.
Never. And if somebody's at home and they've got time to sit there and troll you, honestly, don't worry about them, because they're clearly not enjoying life as much as you are. I don't have time to do that. So if you've got time to sit there and write horrible things about me, then I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, that's it. You hit the nail on the head. I think if you never find successful, happy people trolling other people. So I generally well, not even empathize, I sympathize with people that do have the time to sit and troll and make false stuff up and what have you, because they're clearly hurting. And it's a real shame that it has to be directed towards someone like yourself who's actually trying to do some good and be successful and what have you. And I guess particularly for you yourself, you probably may have a slightly bigger target on your back than most with your family circle. So it'd probably be not right to not mention Shane and your mother-in-law Colleen Nolan and what have you. So they're obviously your biggest supporters based on, one, the volume that came from the final, and two, I think the let's just call it the queen of loose women like arriving on set in a crown and sash. So how have they embraced this, one, over the years, and two, now you've actually won?
Do you know what? Firstly, that Loose Women episode was absolutely brilliant and it was so funny.
Are we getting you
They've
on?
been amazing.
Are we getting you on?
I don't know.
You
It's
need
been
to go
mentioned
on.
briefly, but there's nothing confirmed yet. Watch this space, maybe. I don't know.
You need to push that,
But
and you
yeah,
need to
no,
push it.
I'll tell her.
Yeah,
Get me
tell her.
on.
Yeah, say Matt says.
They've been amazing, to be honest. They've been supportive in everything that I do. I mean, I lived with poor Colleen. I lived with her for a good couple of years when we first moved up to Manchester. So she's been through wedding planning with me. She's been through new jobs, house moves, 5 Miss GBs. So yeah, they've always been so supportive. And my husband is literally my biggest fan. I don't know if you saw the video of my crowning moment, but he just dropped to a chair and cried, which was so lovely. And they are fantastic. And they also literally, like the friendship circle I was telling you about, they push and motivate me to take every opportunity and be the best version of myself. Shane's mum, Colleen, is always doing new things and always sort of reinventing herself, and I really admire that. It's great to be around and great to sort of be able to take a leap or take a leaf out of her book? I always say that
Leaf.
but
Leaf.
take a leaf out of her book and sort of strive for more and for new exciting opportunities all the time. So they're great. I can't complain at all. Although she keeps telling people that I go round to her house to eat a takeaway in my crown and sash, and it's not true. I don't.
Well, people will also say that you're 33, so you've got to have some kind of, they've got to believe something somewhere. So although I do believe have you got like takeaway stains on your sash?
That's why you can only see this half up.
I was going to say, if you don't, you're not a true Miss Great Britain. That's all I'm going to say. I remember sash was absolutely ditched. Yeah, bent crown, a ditch sash, the whole 9 yards. So that, I mean, that's just fantastic that you've got such a support system around you. I want to do some sort of quick fire tips for people who are maybe new to pageants, or particularly those that have they've been competing for a while and maybe been very similar in journey to yourself, in that they've maybe placed a little bit higher and then they maybe moonwalked a little bit, and then they've played and then they've maybe moonwalked a little bit. What sort of would you say were your top tips for getting it nailed, really bringing it home, your preparation? What would you say tips wise, and even on the night as well? How do you prepare for walking out in front of to this 600 strong crowd going crazy?
I definitely think my number one tip would be like harsh self-reflection. I think it's so easy when you don't win, and this is so rare in pageants, to be fair, that you hear it, but it's so easy to blame everything else and everybody else, and oh, they only won because of this, or I should have done this, or blah blah blah. But if you actually sat there and reflected, I think there would be a couple of things that, if you're really honest with yourself, stuff that you can improve on or do better or do more of. So I just think being really, really brutally honest with yourself, number one, is so important. It took me a while to realize that, of actually, it's not just the luck of the draw that year. Actually, there's so much more that I could be doing, and that you have to just be so honest with yourself. Two, I would say make a plan. I have so many spreadsheets from this year, only this year, I've never done it before. So many spreadsheets, so many notepads of all the different things that I wanted to do, and holding myself accountable. So, okay, month one, I want to do this and I've done this. I want to have judged this amount of pageants. I want to have made this amount of new connections, or done this interview, or just giving yourself milestones to work towards, because I think that the title of Miss Great Britain is such a massive thing to try and do. You have to break it down into steps, and I think that's the case with any pageant. Break everything down into steps. Maybe it's week by week, maybe it's month by month. If you get 1% better every day, then in 100 days you're 100%, and you normally have a whole year to really compete. So yeah, I would say planning, self-reflection, and then embracing the year. This year is the first year I really just embraced and loved being Miss Manchester. Rather than just looking straight forward to finals, I enjoyed the year and really took everything in and took every opportunity and went to every event that I could. Rather than just being like, okay, October finals, enjoying the year, because what's the point of getting there if you look back on the journey and actually it wasn't that fun. You didn't really do much. I think the winning is great, but it's the journey and like the stuff that you do to get there that makes the winning feel so fantastic in the end. So that would be point 2. And then I would say point 3, surround yourself with positive people with the same mindset as you. That's been a massive game changer for me this year in particular, of women that supported me and pushed me and were rooting for me, because they, even when I thought I was doing enough, they'd have another idea of something that I could do. And I'm so thankful for my pageant bestie group, for really always motivating me and making me want to do and be more or be better. And then I just say, don't give up. If you really believe something's for you and you really believe that you would be a great Miss Great Britain or a great Miss Galaxy UK or whatever it is that you're doing, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to. And I just think, push yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, completely. I mean, I suppose you only have to look at like Jess Page, for example. You know, she came first runner-up for Miss GB, and now she's flying out to compete internationally with another system. So you know, it's what's meant for you doesn't go by you, does it? If you want to use a cliche term.
Absolutely. That's not a bad top 3 from last year either, to be honest.
No
You've
way.
got Amy who won, Jess that won Miss University B, and me that came back for the 5th time and won eventually. So I also think, just to add to that, actually, before we move on, a really important tip is always treat people and the winners of how you would want to be treated when your time comes, because I think you'll remember that forever. When you win, if anybody is amazing to you and so supportive, or vice versa, you'll remember that person forever, no matter what it is that they did, because that moment you'll remember winning forever. And I think you make sure you're treating everybody how you want to be treated, because at the end of the day, they'll all be rooting for you next time. And I'll remember the people that are amazing with me on the day that I won for the rest of my life. And I'll also remember the people that perhaps weren't so amazing, and they'll forget all about it and it won't affect them ever again, but I'll never forget. And I think that's a really important thing to remember.
Yeah, and I guess that, you know, the pageant community right now is pretty small. You know, a lot of the directors, they know each other and they're friendly because we support each other, and contestants as well. Particularly over multiple years, you kind of cross paths with a lot of contestants from other places, from other systems as well. And you know, everybody remembers how someone made them feel. That, you know, they really do. So we at Miss Great Britain, we do our best to have everybody treat everybody with respect, the respect they deserve. And you know, particularly in that winning moment, you don't want, I guess, you don't want it being tarnished by, you know, people who really should people should be really happy for you. And I think looking, you know, back over the photos and just seeing the footage and everything like that, you know, I can honestly say everyone was just completely made up that it was your year. You know, you could tell that you had won over the crowd for sure. You'd won over the contestants. So I think every single person was behind you a couple of Fridays ago. That's for sure.
Oh no, it was amazing. And do you know what? Like, people get invested in your journey. Like, so many people at events have been like, last year, come on, you can do it. Because the pageant community, like I said, is really small, and we really do root each other on all the time. So I would just say embrace it completely and always just cheer on everybody, because you never know when it's going to be your time, and you would hope that the amount of support you've given everybody then reflect it, and they absolutely did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, the roof literally came off And we had the Rockets this year, which I think the outgoing queen, Amy Mizak, nearly fainted. When they came overhead, which was just incredible. It made my night because we arranged it. Maddie, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we've got a part two in here, but I'm very conscious of your time. I know you're also a very busy lady, particularly now as well. So I would just thank you so much for giving up your time to come on to episode 6 of season 1 with our wonderful current reigning Miss Great Britain, the lovely Maddie Roche. Any final thoughts? Where can people find you online if they particularly if they want to come and arrange speaking engagements or for you to come see them? Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's sort of the main social media that I use, which is Madeline_Roche. And then any events, speaking engagements, anything like that, it is, you're going to kill me now because I'll probably get it wrong, but it's info@missgreatbritain.co.uk.
Official. Info at Miss Great
Official, that's
Britain
it. Every
official.
time I get it wrong. Info
.co.uk.
at missgreatbritain.official.co.uk.
It'll be in
Or
the
just
show notes and comments anyway, so it'll be fine.
perfect. Or just send me a message on Instagram. My inbox is always open to particularly any pageant girl that needs some advice or needs some encouragement. Please just get in touch. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. Finally, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Now the technical
Wait.
issues and the stars aligned. We managed to get it done, and it'll hopefully be out very soon.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, definitely looking forward to potentially a part 2.
Thanks, Maddie.